Good morning from Ohio Stadium, home of the Ohio State Buckeyes, but more important for our purposes today, home of one of the most anticipated college football games of the 2025 regular season. And lucky us, we get it in week one. I'm Tom Orr of BuckeyeHuddle.com, joined by Tony Gerdeman, also of BuckeyeHuddle.com. Tony, just around campus today, around Columbus over the last few days, it has been very clear. There is hooray, Ohio State football is back always in the air this time of year, but this is unquestionably, you get the big game vibes around this one.
You had people camping out for game day yesterday.
Yeah.
Hopefully it was students and not just regular folk. And then getting in here this morning, everybody's trying to be as early as possible, and there's still plenty of fans already early, and you can tell for sure. Like there's first of all, the fall football weather.
Oh, perfect.
48 degrees when you get outside. It's like this is perfect for football.
Yeah, when this one was on the schedule, I kind of looked at it and thought, well, it's too bad it's probably going to be 140 degrees on the field like it was for the Marshall game last year, but it'll still be a good game. And it's not. The high today is going to be in the 70s. It's going to be reasonably sunny, it sounds like. No rain, not a lot of wind. It is a pretty perfect college football Saturday in Columbus.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I want to get back outside and experience all of this stuff, because when you have like both pregame shows here, there's just a mass of humanity everywhere. So I like to get out there and experience it. You've already been out there experiencing it. What's it been like?
It has been enthusiastic out there early. I went over to College Game Day, got a quick little bit of content from over there. I'll try and throw some photos in here just from over there from my phone. I have not had a chance to actually do it correctly with my camera and dump those over, but very loud and enthusiastic crowd over there. Ryan Dawes says, "Cool shirt, Tom." Yes, I honestly.
Was that the closet?
Yeah. Well, this is your if you're a photographer on the field, you have to wear this. And the first game of the season is always a little hectic, and it's like, oh yeah, I forgot how to. I forgot you had to do this way. So I got here and I'm like, I'm just going to do everything that I can do to be ready to not have to remember stuff later when I'm running around doing a bunch of other stuff. Normally I don't put this on until a couple hours before the game. But,
at least people will stop giving you flag. Like, why don't you wear Ohio State gear? Now you're finally.
Yes, there you go. So yes, that is.
I did like the photo that you posted of from one of the game day set, where their sign said, "Too bad it wasn't Desmond Howard's last day."
Yeah, I'll find that photo and put that in here. Yeah, there were some good signs over there already. This is, we can talk a little bit about the College Game Day end of this, because normally, when College Game Day goes to Kansas, when College Game Day goes to James Madison, it's like this is the biggest event in the history of the world. When College Game Day comes to Columbus, it's, well, okay, they're here again for the third time in the last 2 years. It's not that big a thing. This week, it's a bigger thing, because this is not only number one versus number two, and I keep using the coaches poll. I keep using the coaches poll because it makes the point that I want to make. But it's also the final game for Lee Corso, who started his headgear picker tradition here in Columbus in 1996 in another top 5 matchup, Ohio State versus Penn State. This is the 431st time that he is doing it. I was there the first time he did it, and I talked to Kirk Herbstreit about this yesterday. He said, he put it on, and everyone kind of, oh, yeah, that's kind of cool. That's a different, and you didn't know at the time this is going to become one of the most iconic things in college football.
Well, you probably, I don't know, even if you remember this, it was ESPN College Basketball they started to do a game day thing, and their coach was Digger Phelps, and it's like, well, what can Digger do that is like what Lee Corso does? It's like there's nothing.
Right.
You can't do anything. Don't even try it. And well, we got to do something. It's like, no, this is a one-time thing, a 431-time thing, if you will. But again, and I tweeted this out, it's like, this is something that has spanned generations now, which is pretty cool. You got parents watching with their kids as like, yes, I was here in 1996. Now you're here.
Yeah.
And it's so big that Fox is like, hey, can we broadcast the last one? ESPN's like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's a nice touch that Fox is. You're going to be able to see Lee Corso's final headgear pick on both the Fox pregame show and the ESPN pregame show, the cynical portion of me says, well, of course, Fox knows everyone's going to want to see it, so why didn't she not show it? But it's also a nice kind of tip of the cap to what Corso has meant to the whole industry.
For the final episode of Seinfeld, TV Land just put up like a sign. The network TV Land
yeah.
Be back in 30 or whatever like that after the final episode. Like, we're not going to go against this.
Yeah.
And Fox in the same way.
Yeah. So there you go. Yes, Sage Ohio, this is live. Yes. And that was the photo from over at Game Day earlier, with the young lady with the sign that said, "Wish it was Dez's last show instead." Which, I got to tell you, I'm not here to judge Game Day signs. I can tell you it went over very well with the crowd across the street when she had that up. So we have a super chat we got to get to from our good buddy Ryan Dawes. If the defense does well, how much is it the defense versus Arch and the Texas offense not living up to expectation? So how much of it is the defense versus how much of it is Texas not having?
Well, I think it just depends on the incompletions and things like that. Is the defense there, or are these like bad passes or bad reads?
Yeah.
It's been interesting to listen to people talk about this on national scope, where there's a lot of lack of respect for Matt Patricia and what people are expecting, and how some people view this as a mismatch between Steve Sarkisian and Matt Patricia. I tend to also view this as a matchup between Arch Manning and Caleb Downs. And so, like, if that's your matchup, wouldn't you like Ohio State in that? But of course, he's only one guy, whereas Arch is the precursor to several other people.
Right.
But I think if Ohio State's defense is as expected, again, we both expect a low-scoring game, then you're going to have an opportunity to win the game in the fourth quarter. And really, that's what you're designing the game for anyway, to win in the fourth quarter. But it will be interesting. I think people credit Ohio State's defense unless it's just a poor performance from Arch Manning.
Yeah, as you said, if he's missing wide receivers, that open wide receivers, that's one thing. I don't expect him to do that. I think he's a pretty well-rounded, obviously extraordinarily well-coached young quarterback. I think the question is not that this is going to be, did the Ohio State defense win, or does Arch Manning win? I think Texas could have a bad day offensively, potentially, with Arch Manning still having a good day if they have trouble blocking Ohio State, especially off the edge. The Texas offensive line, they're replacing 4 starters. You've got Trevor Gooseby, who has his right hand, or one of his hands, in a cast or a club or something like that. I saw there was some conversation about he's maybe going to be a game time decision. They lost one of their potential candidates for right tackle during fall camp for the season. There are some questions there for Texas on the edge, and we'll get to the questions around the Ohio State offensive line in a little bit. But, Texas has a couple good wide receivers, but they don't have Jeremiah Smith. They have a tight end, but he might not be as good as Gunnar Helm. The running backs last year were just kind of okay, and that was with Kelvin Banks at left tackle. They don't have Kelvin Banks at left tackle. So I think there are definitely areas. Arch Manning is sort of the, central force that draws everything into him in terms of conversation. But I think there are a lot of other areas where Texas could have matchup issues with this Ohio State defense.
Yeah, and you could see something where Arch Manning is very good between the 20s, and then the red zone kind of bogs down. But he's the kind of quarterback that can be more effective in the red zone because he can run the ball and he can be part of that game. So you can do well between the 20s and everybody loves you. But if you're kicking more field goals than scoring touchdowns, that's also a little bit on the quarterback as well as the defense. I just think you'll know it if he's playing poorly or if this the Ohio State defense is doing.
Right. Yeah, you can usually tell. And he might be playing poorly because there's a pass rush on him. And a lot of the things I'm saying right now about Arch Manning, you can sort of Control-C, Control-V for Julian Sayin, and we will get to that side of the ball in a minute. Mike Brino says, how's it going, guys? I've already posted this on the board, but this is the calmest I've ever been for a big OSU game. How are you guys feeling?
It is it's still 8:24, and there's still more work to be done before the game. But I've been looking forward to this day for a while. And in terms of the fans being calmer, clearly I think that's a byproduct of the 12-team playoff, and you saw what happened last year, and it's not life and death. However, these are still games that fantastic and exciting. People think, well, it doesn't matter who wins or loses. Do you feel that right now? Are you okay losing?
It's very easy to say that right now. The first time they go 3 and out, where they give up a 20-yard run, we'll see how everyone's feeling. But
polite applause.
Yeah, right. I think that there is definitely a benefit from the overall blood pressure level of the fan base for both teams. That this is not a do or die. Now, there's a little bit of retrospective. In the good old days, you couldn't lose a game. But children gather around. Let me tell you about the 2-loss 2007 national champions from LSU, who this was before the 14 playoff. They lost 2 regular season games and won the national championship. So there's a little bit of back in my day, which is not exactly true. But this is the fact that you could lose this game and still probably have another game, margin of error to lose another game later and still make the playoff and still have a chance to win the national championship. That's not a bad thing. You're not letting in 8-4 teams.
Right.
As soon as you're letting in 8-4, even 9-3 teams, we can sit down and have that conversation. If you're 10-2, you're having a good season, especially if you're playing Texas, if you're playing Ohio State. You can lose one of these games and still have a little bit of margin for error, which means that teams are going to be willing to schedule these games. If you want to tell me that no one with more than one loss should ever make the college football playoff, that's fine. I hope you like Grambling, because you're going to get a whole lot of Grambling in that.
Is that Kurt Signetti chiming in?
Yes, yeah.
And really, talk about the 9-3 teams that will eventually make it. If there was no Indiana last year, Alabama at 9-3 is probably in.
Mm-hmm.
And so then there's the counterpoint to your scheduling scheduling difficulty. But and we've said this before on other shows, Steve Sarkisian said he doesn't think the committee is going to punish either team for this. In fact, they'll be rewarded for it, perhaps when it's time to decide, the team that lost this game versus somebody with one fewer losses. As you're viewing this, and you're saying, well, yeah, but who did they choose to play? And if the answer is nobody, then you figure the 2 teams in this one are going to get the benefit of that doubt. And while that's not the entire reason these games are scheduled, that is part of the reason.
Yeah. I mean, one of the reasons these games are scheduled is because TV also wants it.
Yes.
And, as much as it's, you don't want to give TV too much credit for anything, this is one of those things where TV's best interests and your best interests as a fan are aligned. There are lots of cases where that's not the case. This is one where it is. I'll jump another picture here real quick. We got a super chat from Robert Howard. Morning, gentlemen. They tried to give us mandatory overtime this weekend. I called off today and took the point. See what I'm willing to do to watch the show. Listen, Robert, some of us had to work today.
Yeah.
We're glad you were able to set that aside.
Not only give up the time and a half, but super chat.
Listen,
costing you doubly or triply.
No. This is an opportunity to participate. It's an opportunity to be part of something larger than yourself. It's an opportunity to test the ref mics. It's tradition unlike any other. Every year we're up here.
Please stop. Let him finish. I want to hear this. It's important. Yep.
1, 2. Ref mic check. Check. 1, 2.
All good.
Hang on. Let's see what's next.
Ref mic check. 1, 2.
Could we be done now? Maybe?
There we go.
All right. I think we're done. That's good. Every year there's certain stuff that I'm like, oh yeah, the ref mic opposes us every single time. Yes, that's a tradition. At some point we're going to hear in the air tonight. That will happen. Good.
Check. 1, 2.
So this is the important thing, is that now you will, when it doesn't work during the game, you're like, well, listen, I can tell you it worked earlier. This is the important behind the scenes stuff that we're giving you access to right now. There's a look at earlier in the day. Ran up to the top of C deck, got a shot from the top of C deck just as the sun was rising. I got here I pulled in around 6:15. Tony, it will not surprise you to learn there were already people lined up outside the varsity club.
Well, when you care about sports as much as
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
9, 10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
No,
6, 7.
that's just being a good fan.
Yeah.
What time I assume Varsity Club opened at 6 then, or
No, well, there was no one in there, so I assume it must have opened at 6:30 or something like that. But yeah, there was no one in there, but there were people lined up outside.
My question is, why close?
Well,
CLOSE.
I think it's the. Thank you for the clarification. I believe the Ohio Liquor Enforcement
Yes.
Board has something to do with the.
Well, you just don't serve.
Okay. All right. So I got a super chat from Mike Farino. How many snaps does Downs take at nickel today? That's an interesting question.
I think if we're figuring he's going to be on the field for every single snap, and you figure, let's say 70 snaps, 65, 70, I wouldn't be shocked if he's there a third of them, because I think those are going to be third down snaps, maybe. Well, shoot, I don't even know if that's true, because I also view those nickel snaps sometimes as Sam snaps.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also there's going to be times you're like, well, what position is this that he's lining up in? Because he's going to be behind the linebackers, but he's not going to be a nickel. It's going to be kind of a strong safety type. So I think maybe the question is, how many snaps will Lorenzo Styles not play, or there won't be a nickel and they've got three safeties back there. But I think I'd say 20-ish. Just because he's going to be moving around, and we'll see. I wonder if we're making too much of it, and certainly it was like when this first came out a few weeks ago, and it's like, oh, nickel. And it's like, well, he also played that some last year.
Yeah.
As you have to in this defense, but I don't know. What do you think?
We saw him enough during camp that obviously this is going to be a part of the game plan, and it's probably this is going to be situational. So some of this is you tell me how much time Texas is going to spend in 12 personnel or 21 personnel or 22 personnel, because I don't know how sold they are on their depth at wide receiver. That if you tell me how much time they spend with 2 tight ends or 2 running backs or 2 tight ends and 2 running backs out on the field, that'll go a long way towards telling me how much you see him at nickel. But 20 snaps, I don't think is high. I think that might be 15 to 20 is probably over under 17 and a half. I'm probably going over.
And if they're in 12 personnel quite a bit, then you might see him in that nickel role even more, and then you have the 2 safeties behind him. So again, we're going to learn so much from this game, because you can't hide anything. You can't hold anything back. Everything that you've got, you're going to put forward in this one.
Robert putting forward 20 gift memberships for the channel. Really appreciate that. Very, very, very nice of you. We'll have to. I'm not going to figure out how to do those right now, but we will figure out how to do those.
They'll be apportioned properly.
Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you. That is awesome. Really, really appreciate that. So Wilson Lover says Sark runs 12 personnel about 35% of the time.
There you go.
Yeah. So something in that range.
And is that with a deeper receiving core? Because they're already going to be out their number 3-ish receiver.
Yes.
And so then you move the next guy up. So maybe they feel more comfortable in 12 personnel or 21.
Yeah, right. And he says 21 personnel about 15% of the time. So
that's half
the time. So there you go. So
that's doing math.
So we're going to circle back a little bit to just sort of wrap up the conversation on the Texas offense and the Ohio State defense. This is an interesting case, because you normally would look at a first-time starter at quarterback and go, they're going to be able to confuse him. They're going to be able to put him in all sorts of terrible situations. This is someone who grew up with a grandfather who was, I don't know if Archie Manning was an NFL Hall of Famer. I don't think he was. Was he?
I believe he's like one of the few losing quarterbacks to a Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Okay. And has two uncles who both won Super Bowls, and I think are both in the Hall of Fame as well. So this is a guy with access to some decent football minds in his in the family group chat. So probably not someone who's going to be quite as easy to confuse as your typical first-time starter. That being said, I think he's going to be looking. Ohio State's going to have to rely a little bit on the crowd to try and put. If Texas has to go on the silent count, it's just a half a beat slower for your offensive line to get back in their pass sets. That could be an advantage. The fact that they don't really know what to expect with it being Matt Patricia, I think there's sort of the broad expectation is this is going to be a similar defense to what they ran last year. but similar and exactly the same are not the same thing.
No, very different, slightly different. The crowd is going to be in this one, and Ryan Day was adamant that they need the crowd, they need the silent count because it does help, and you don't know exactly when it's going to help, but it helps a little bit, and then at some point, does it change the game from having to deal with it? And so that I expect Arch to be able to handle everything that's thrown at him in terms of like I understand what I'm looking at. And then if there's a play where you don't, you go back and it's like, okay, what happened? What did I miss? And then maybe you don't make the same mistake twice. And yeah, he's advanced in terms of this is what he's always done. He was born a quarterback, basically that sort of thing. And then Matt Patricia, I don't think it just has to be about confusing because you have talent.
Mm-hmm.
So just play the defense, play man up, or not literally man up all the time, but you've got so many one-on-ones, you've got the ability to win some of those. If you just wanted to be confusing, you'd have everybody moving at the same time.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
You would have everybody like running zigzags
Mm-hmm.
the entire time, and that's not what they do.
No. Robert says YouTube randomly distributes the gifts, so your work is done there. So there you go. Really, thank you, YouTube. Thank you, Robert. I didn't need one more thing to do today, so.
Does YouTube keep 30% of those like they do the super chats?
That I don't know. Mike Perino says, I think this is a game that Innis and Claire should feast. I think too much attention can be paid to Smith and Tate outside, and the inside is going to be a much softer cover.
Yeah, I think we both expect Max Claire to have a day,
Mm-hmm.
and you've got to take advantage of whatever they're giving you. Whatever they're trying to take away, that means there's something available, and this is going to be the first time Brandon Innis has an opportunity to be a major part of this offense. So looking forward to seeing what that looks like because it's been a long time coming for him. He landed, he was committed to Oklahoma for a while, and then Lincoln Riley leaves and goes to USC, and then it opens up his recruiting, and you land this 5-star receiver. You're like, okay, all right. 3 years later, here we are, and I finally get to see what that looks like. But I think those two guys inside, over the middle, like it doesn't have to be 35 yards. It just keep the chains moving.
Right. If you can just get 7 yards with Matt Player on first down, boy, does that change how the rest of the staying on schedule is going to be real important for both teams. Pick up 4 yards on first down, pick up 4 yards on second down. Get yourself into third and manageable rather than 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. Because I think for both teams, how are the edges of the offensive line going to hold up against the pass rush? I think that's one of the big questions that's going to determine how this game goes. We talked a little bit about that on the Texas side with the injury to Trevor Gooseby, the injury to the head of the right tackle, potential starters during fall camp. For Ohio State, you feel pretty good about the interior of the offensive line. I don't know that the interior of the Texas defensive line is any great shakes, but you got a first-time starter at tackle, at least, in terms of being a starter at tackle, in Austin Searveld at left tackle. You got Phillip Daniels, who came on strong during fall camp, who's going to be your starter at right tackle. But you got some dudes coming off the edge for Texas. And how long does Julian Sayin have in the pocket? That feels like that's going to be one of the real determining factors on how this game goes.
Yeah, there's been nothing but positives coming out of camp about Austin Searveld and Phillip Daniels, but Phillip Daniels started 4 games last year as a redshirt freshman at right tackle for Minnesota. Austin Searveld split some time at guard in terms of getting his starts. So I think we talked about this on maybe the Buckeye Weekly preview show where it's like if you're a Texas fan and you're told that Ohio State's starting left tackle was a part-time starter at guard last year and they're starting right tackle, started 4 games at Minnesota in an emergency situation last year, got to feel pretty good about the possibilities at defensive end. And so I just wonder which of these narratives will come true, and maybe they're both true, and that's you can't win them all. And that's why offensive linemen hate when defensive end wins twice. He gets 2 sacks, and then they've dominated the game. It's like there were 40 other snaps for that guy that did not go well, but can't have it.
Right. Well, I think back to Donovan Jackson starting at left tackle against Penn State last year, and I think he gave up 2 sacks, and that was all anyone talked about after the game. It was like, yeah, but it was his first career start on the road against a future top 10 NFL draft pick. and he only got to him twice. Like that's really a pretty good win percentage. But you don't get you don't get the luxury of losing that. It's, the defensive back getting beat once, and it's like, well, that's how you get nicknamed toast. That's it's not necessarily fair, but in a game like this where you're operating with relatively fine margins, it is going to be one play here or there. It's going to be, hey, the rusher gets there off the edge and gets there in time to knock the ball free versus the ball gets out, or the quarterback does or doesn't get to step into his throw and then the ball sails or doesn't sail. It's going to be something small like that. It gets tipped or it doesn't get tipped, which is sometimes a matter of you got it 6 inches over the underneath defender's hand or you didn't. That's the kind of fine margins you're talking about in a game like this between two teams where the talent is pretty darn even, I think.
Could be a lineman stepping on your foot.
We have seen it before. Kept the one team from helped one team win a national championship a couple of years ago, among other things. Got some really interesting stuff from Wheels and Lovers, who I'm gathering is a Texas fan, but expect deep shots early from Sark. In the last 3 big non-conference games, Bama twice and Michigan once, Sark has taken 3 deep shots by the time he gets through his 3rd possession. And the famous Sark script, we talk about that all the time, and you hear about that all the time. Arch Manning is also someone who is willing to, he is not a conservative, careful, cautious, he's not reckless with it, but he's also not captain check down in the way that sometimes you see young quarterbacks kind of being, hey, let's not do anything crazy here. Let's not make a mistake. He believes in himself, believes in his arm, and is willing to take some of those shots.
Ohio State's very confident in their corners, and Davidson, Igbenogson, and Jermaine Matthews. We need to see more from center field, from the deep safety in this one, because that's not really Caleb Downs, not necessarily the center fielder that's going to be trying to eliminate those deep shots. So is that Malik Hartford? Is that Jalen McClain? Is that Lorenzo Styles rotating back? So how do those guys handle that, keep protecting that last line of defense, protecting that deep shot, and almost discouraging it because there's a safety back there, so I'm not going to do it. And they'll have guys moving around. Sark loves his motion and pre-snap stuff like that, trying to keep guys situated in proper spots for shots like that. And so I'm interested to see what that deep defense looks like for Ohio State, what kind of center field play they get. Malik Hartford, 6'3", 200 pounds, has the right, the physical size to, he's more of a strong safety type, like a physical guy, but if he's in the post, can he get there? Can he cover the ground? Can he get from one line to the other, the red line, from one red line to the other red line? That the safety coaches like to talk about at Ohio State. How much range do you have? I don't know that we know that yet.
No, that's one of those spots where you have a sense that they like him. They think he's a good player. They think he's going to be a real contributor. What does it look like on a Saturday with a real good opponent on the other side of the field? You don't know yet. These two teams combined to lose 26 players to the NFL draft. I heard a stat on the College Football Nerds podcast that they had gone through and looked, and 2 teams that had lost that many players combined to the draft had never played each other in week 1. So this is one of these games where you've never had 2 teams lose this much talent and then play each other week 1 where you don't really have any idea what is it going to look like. You have nothing other than spring games and little peeks inside fall practice to really be able to give you a definitive answer on that. We have some ideas, but it's so much of this is, it depends.
2 teams that have never lost this much talent. By the way, 1 versus 2.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and that's the thing. These are not teams that you're looking at and going, this is going to be a rebuilding year. That is not a thing in either Austin or Columbus right now, because these are also 2 teams that have, over the last several years, been consistent top 5 recruiters. So the talent pipeline keeps flowing. Speaking of the talent pipeline, this is also going to be a big recruiting weekend for Ohio State. There's going to be a lot of very, very talented players here visiting for this one from all over the country, because it's a pretty hot ticket. There's a lot of people who want to come here, and if you are a talented enough player that they're willing to pay for you to come and do that, this would be a good time to make a visit.
Yeah, and there's about 25 NFL scout seats right behind us that
Yeah.
we're sitting in. And yes, certainly an expensive ticket. Get-in price is several $100s right now
Yeah.
for this
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, it's going to be. It should be a really, really, really. It should be a good atmosphere. I know that everyone is all irritated about the noon kickoff, but we have been in here for plenty of noon kickoffs over the last few years. And is it the same as a primetime kickoff? No. Does it also get loud? Are you able to use your vocal cords and your hands to clap during a noon kickoff? Yes. The answer is yes.
I was
So
just looking to see if the towels on the seats yet, or if those are something
those
that you
are
can pick up.
handed out as you walk in. I saw
Makes more
boxes
sense.
of those. I saw boxes of those as I was walking in. It looked like red towels for this first game. So yeah, that's all. Stuff that is part of the new game day experience here.
There are going to be people here at the game who have no idea that there have been changes.
Yes.
And
Oh
so
no.
they're going to read it up on the board like, we're going to do this now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think there have been people on our board who've been very irritated about some of the proposed changes. They're going to be ringing the victory bell earlier. They're not necessarily going to do "Hang On Sloopy" at the same time. They've got a new song that they're going to be playing. This was all rolled out by Ross Bjork, the new AD, and they brought in consultants to how are we going to liven up the game day experience, all that kind of stuff. I think 30% of the people here are going to know that this is any kind of a concerted thing, and everyone else is going to go, "Oh, that's new,"
Yeah.
and that's going to be it. So, Ben Ricker says, "Will they have an availability report today, or just for conference play?" They will. That will be out at 10 a.m. One of the most popular questions we get on our board is, "Have you heard anything new about issues?" And the answer broadly is no. There have been names you've heard kind of throughout August, and we'll see if guys are 100%. But if you're close to 100%, you're probably going to go today. And I have not heard of anything super consequential. So
Yeah, the only thing that we were told a couple days ago is that the bullet was dodged. Some bullets were dodged in terms of Edric Houston and things like that. So not expecting anything major.
Going down, just looking through some of the Warpog wants to know if we think that Davison Igbinosun has fixed his hands problem.
They've worked on it. They talked about it, and Davison Igbinosun said it wasn't necessarily a grabbing all the time thing. It was just him not getting his head around and making a play on the ball. Now, there were times where he would grab immediately and then get flagged for that, but he said going back looking at it, it was a lot of just at the top of the route, not getting his head around, not turning and playing the ball. And so that's what he's been focused on. He's working on that. He did wear the gloves a little bit, but it's the bigger factor isn't the grabbing. It's the other aspect of just get your head around, play the ball instead of just grabbing. So he seems confident. Tim Walton seems confident that that's going to be fixed. Now I say fixed, and the thing is, everybody's going to be grabbing, and there's going to be some pass interference calls this year, and if it happens for him, you can't be like, see this guy, he's never going to get it right.
Right.
Because it's like jazz. You got to pay attention to the pass interferences that don't get called.
Yeah, exactly. I think it says, "Love the shirt, Tom." Yes, this is the vest you have to wear as a photographer. This identifies you as you're okay to be on the field during the game. And I said this earlier, the first game of the season is always a little hectic, and especially today with all the recruits here and all the game day being here and all that kind of stuff. So I got here early and thought, I'm just going to do all the stuff. I don't normally put this on until like an hour or two before the game. I'm just going to do all the stuff now, so then it's less stuff for me to forget later. So,
because you could get tackled on the sideline, like if you forgot, my vest. Do I have a vest? Where is it? Where is it?
Yeah, it's somewhere, but yeah, this is me knowing how to figuring out how to deal with there's too much stuff going on in my brain right now. Something just flew over us. I don't know what that was.
Funny.
Could be, south and north is not the direction you normally get that. So, blend maybe. So, just kind of going through lots of people talking about what they're drinking this morning. Seeing these noon kickoffs, they're not getting in anyone's way.
People love football, Tom.
I have been reliably informed that yes,
they love football and they love singing "Ohio" by Cam.
two things. You're hearing it more and more. Speaking of things you're hearing more and more, Jordan wants to know, has OSU banned Kevin yet?
No. In fact, they have not. And why would they?
Well, we don't have the kickoffs in just over 3 hours. I'm not sure we have time to go through everything, but,
And really, Kevin wasn't Ohio State that banned him. It was Fox. Is that correct?
Kevin and Fox working at their way through the court system on the Big Noon name. So there you go. Some comments on the SEC officiating crew today. I know that was another topic on our board. That is a standard thing in a home and home series. The visiting teams conference generally provides the official.
And the Big Ten will be in Austin next year.
Does that make you feel better or worse,
exactly.
Ohio State fans?
There you go. Think about that.
Yeah.
Why can't it just be the AAC ref? I guess now just the American.
Yes. So we touched on a lot of. I'm just sort of thinking through. We have never really talked about the run game very much on either side. Which team is more likely to be able to run the ball for 4.5 yards a carry? Because I can make an argument for either one.
Yeah,
I think the quarterback is more likely to probably help on the Texas side of things. I think if one of the running backs is going to, from either team, is going to kind of have the welcome to the stage moment, it's probably James Peoples. Ohio State is very high on James Peoples. And then the offensive lines on both sides are, somewhere between a B- and an A- maybe.
How much of Chip Kelly's run game is still here?
That is a tremendous question. I'm so glad you asked.
Right, yeah, no, and glad you got the answer. Because that was some good stuff last year. And why get rid of it? If it worked, what does Tyler Bowen, as the run game coordinator, bring to this? Can Ohio State run the ball without a quarterback that runs it? Now, Julian Sayin can run it.
Right.
He can't pull it, but will he? That's a question that needs to be answered. We know Arch will, and I think the Texas running game struggled without having that aspect, which is why he played last year, to try to give them some of that. But it just made it more predictable. Like when he's coming in, okay, there's probably going to be a run. And so in terms of who is more likely, I would say Texas, because of the run threat of the quarterback. Not that he's going to average 9 yards a carry. It's just because you're going to have to worry about him a little bit more, which helps the running backs. And they had their issues last year without that run threat, with Quinn Ewers there as that quarterback. So I am interested to see if Ohio State can run the ball without the threat of the quarterback run. That's going to be pretty huge for them to be like, yeah, we're just going to run the ball. I don't know if they can do that, but Texas is still trying to figure out who they are on the defensive line.
Yeah, that's for sure. It feels like, for as much as we've talked about the interior of the Ohio State defensive line being in question, especially the depth of the interior of the Ohio State defensive line, they feel reasonably good about Edric Houston and Caden McDonald. And Edric Houston may or may not be 100% for this one, but I'm certainly expecting him to play. On the Texas side of the ball, they've lost virtually everyone across that defensive front. I think they had 5 tackles returning or something like that. It was a crazy number. And Hero Kanu, who was a real role player for Ohio State, who transferred to Texas, I have seen projections that he's going to start. I've seen projections that someone else may be starting for them. But if he was a depth guy at Ohio State and would have probably still been a backup this year. He had 3 tackles at Ohio State last year. He's not supplanting Caden McDonald or Edric Houston because he was behind those guys last year. So if he's the starter then for Texas, we can take the transitive property and say, well, at least the top line of the interior of the defensive line, you would figure Ohio State has at least some advantage there. And for Ohio State to have some advantage there at the spot where we've been talking all year about, boy, this is the biggest concern for Ohio State, that feels like that's maybe a little bit of a reason for optimism for Buckeye fans.
Yeah, and a lot of the guys that they added in the portal at defensive tackle were guys who hadn't quite done it yet at their previous school, other than Murad Watson, who was the freshman All-American at Syracuse. But stepping up from Syracuse to Texas in this game is that we're still just a third-year player, redshirt sophomore.
Yeah.
Is a lot to ask from him, so we'll see what that looks like. Both teams have tremendous linebackers, and so I don't think either team would trade their linebackers for the other.
Yeah.
But how well these linebackers do is going to depend on how clean they're kept. And what my question for the Ohio State defensive line is, you might look good in the first quarter, you might look good in the second quarter. How do you look in the fourth quarter? And again, this may be a one-score game, the entirety of the game. Do they soften up as the game goes on? Because you're playing two defensive tackles who have never played this much. And Larry Johnson talks about wanting Cade McDonald to play 25 or 35 snaps a game. When he says stuff like that, I think he means like on average. In games like this.
Yeah, on average, you can get to 30 snaps a game by playing 50 today and 10 next week.
That's the thing, because in games like this, Ty Hamilton, Tyleik Williams are playing 50, 55 snaps.
And how tired do those guys get? Well, how often does the Ohio State defense get off the field on third down in the first half? One thing that does help Ohio State is the fact that we're talking about mid-70s, not mid-90s today, temperature-wise. That is going to help a lot. That makes such a big difference. You should presumably not see a lot of cramping. You should presumably see guys holding up a little bit better. And this is big guys in the trenches on both sides of the ball for both teams. I can tell you, when it is hot and you're down on that turf, it is hot down on the field. It was the Marshall game last year that the Fox broadcaster, or I think it was the Fox broadcaster, had the temperature gun, and it was 140 degrees on the field. And I can tell you, if you go back and watch that post-game show, it is hot mess express from beginning to end, because you cannot stay hydrated enough when it is 140 degrees on the field. Like, it is not possible to do.
Do you think if Miami was playing here today, they'd have jackets or do the benches?
I did think about, the fact the last time we were here watching an SEC team that wears orange, they had sideline heaters and the players came out without their shirts on because they were going to prove a point about how they weren't cold. It would be kind of funny if Texas came out with sideline heaters, but also like coming out without shirts on. Oh, it's 70 degrees. We ain't scared of your fall weather. I'm not anticipating that, but yeah, it is a genuinely pleasant day. I will give you the wind report. It looks like no wind whatsoever on the field. The flag's hanging absolutely straight down on the goalpost. So this is a day when, unless someone loses the ball in the sun, weather should not be a factor at all. So that
sure spoke that into existence.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's nice that in a game like this, we're not, as far as we're aware, we're not talking about a major injury that's going to swing the game. We're not talking about crazy weather conditions that are going to swing the game. This is going to be, there's a lot of variables at play here with these two teams and all the talent they've got, but also all the new faces they've got, new coordinators for Ohio State. It's nice to have some of those other factors sort of as controlled variables that shouldn't impact things too much. Let's see. I had a couple of good ones here from Wheels and Levers that I wanted to get to real quick again. Guessing that's a Texas fan based on some of the comments, and really seems like very insightful. That OSU will likely have a higher yard per carry if Texas plays a lot of too high, which they may, because Ohio State may have a higher yards per carry because of Jeremiah Smith, more so than James Peoples or the Ohio State offensive line.
And that's where you got to continue to be patient. And Texas will figure, well, at some point they're going to screw up on a 3rd and 3 or something like that. And Ohio State has to remain patient and just take what's there. And that's going to be what Ryan Day has preached all along to Julian Sayin. Just take what Texas gives you, we'll work it, and then things get compressed in the red zone. And what I was saying earlier about how well does Arch Manning do between the 20s and then out and then the red zone? That's going to be the big question for Ohio State as well. And Julian Sayin can run enough that you don't need the red zone package,
right? Yeah,
yeah. But it will be interesting to see how things do in the red zone. Should Ohio State get there?
I thought it was really funny this week when sometimes Ryan Day is funny intentionally, sometimes Ryan Day is, I think, funny unintentionally. And he was asked about Julian Sayin's athleticism and who he reminded him of. And he said, C.J. Stroud. And it's like, yes. I mean, C.J. Stroud was a really good athlete. But Ohio State fans were constantly annoyed at how C.J. Stroud didn't run enough and how that impacted the offense negatively. So I thought that was kind of a really funny comp, that it was like, boy, I think you just made a bunch of people mad without realizing you made a bunch of people mad. Wheels and Lover says the final please not let Jeremiah Smith kill them, which, yeah, if they don't need to hold him to 1 catch, 3 yards. If they hold him to 4 catches for 70 yards, that might be winning numbers, especially if you're not, taking 2.5 guys on him every play.
Well, Michigan limited him. I think Penn State did, where you're talking 3 or 4 catches, 40 yards. And
Yeah.
maybe a touchdown in there. And, if you're holding him to 11, 12 yards a catch or whatever, and it's 3 or 4 catches, those are winning numbers, but that doesn't mean they're going to win.
Yeah, and he says next year when you come to Austin, it'll be Hades, so it'll probably be a night game, still really humid. I thought that this year, so maybe. I'm not expecting 70 degrees. I think we've used up all our good weather luck on this year's game. But
my suggestion, just move to Jerry World. Play in the air conditioning. Tom loves that place.
That is not my suggestion.
Where everybody wants to be.
You're in the press box no matter where. You have air conditioning everywhere you go. You don't get a vote.
Not at Oregon, because that place is open air, which is awesome.
Yeah, it was open air and also exactly like today, 50 degrees and sunny and gorgeous and magnificent. That was one of the nicest football days. Just no humidity, just absolutely perfect. That was a really, really phenomenal day and a great game, boy. And if this is a 1-score game, last possession game, final minute, sign me up. I mean, sign me up for that right now. Get a 60-minute game for this one.
This is going to be one of those games where, being in the press box, Tom, you laugh about it, but at some point during the game, in the fourth quarter, I have to decide, when am I going to leave and go down to the field? And invariably, it's like, that's the one good thing about Fox. You got some longer commercials.
Yeah.
You got some time to get down, but if you don't get to the elevator on time, or you've got too many people trying to get to the elevator and you don't make it, you can miss some stuff. And then when you're the worst thing is when you're in the elevator and you hear the crowd go crazy, and it's like, what just happened?
Yeah, that was I think my favorite us being stuck somewhere and not being able to see the game moment was 2018 at Penn State, when Ohio State had that great comeback where they scored 2 touchdowns in the final whatever 8 minutes or whatever it was. The first of those was Ben Victor, where he has this long winding touchdown run, catch and run, and you just hear this roar from the small portion of the crowd that just kind of keeps getting louder, and we're stuck underneath the stadium just looking out at a tunnel that we can only see the back of the end zone, and nothing's happening, and it's just this long roar, and it's like, what is going on? You know how long these plays normally go, and it's like we're past that and still nothing's happening. And all of a sudden, then there's an official backpedaling in the end zone. I was like, I see. And then you see Ben Victor come in. But
at some point, I thought there was a streaker, and it turns out there was.
There was. He was fully dressed. Going through here, there's some other questions. Let's go through a couple from earlier that we may have missed. I started a few that I thought were good. Ben wants to know, a little late to the party, anyone hear anything on Edward Houston having a step back?
That was the rumor a week or 2 ago. Expect him to play. Again, the question isn't just how healthy he's going to be; it's how much stamina he'll have.
Yeah.
And there was Ryan Day like to say how calloused up he'll be through all of this, and that was one of the reasons they wanted him practicing so that he could get calloused up. So he expect him to play. I don't know exactly how well he'll play or what, because we have only really seen him in a reserve role. So we're gonna learn a lot about a lot of guys today.
Yeah. Alex says Texas will come out hair on fire, have to play the same, and these are 2 teams that are normally Ohio State playing at noon has almost an advantage, having played so many big games at noon over the years. Texas, of course, plays Oklahoma at 11 a.m. Central Time at the Texas State Fair every year. So this is not going to be a new thing. I mean, 2021, I think it was a big noon kickoff for the Oregon game, right? I think it wasn't at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Yeah. And we thought, oh boy, Oregon's going to be a real body clock issue. And then they came in and won the game. So this is one of the things that I think people are talking about a lot. I don't know that that's going to really make a huge impact on the game itself.
Let me just throw this out there, Tom. You mentioned the rivalry game with Oklahoma every year. do you think every year when that game is played, there's also the smell of fair food because it's at the state fair? So like that gets the juices going as well. Not having that smell here, does that bring down whatever, like the football juices, whatever it is, does that keep them a little low key and doesn't bring them up as much, like, Pavlovian type of response because you smell the fried doughs and the barbecues and things like that. You're not going to have that here. You might smell some brats.
Yeah,
That's it.
Yeah. No fried Oreos, no Big Tex. It's a very different.
So
You have Moral Tower, not quite the same thing. Yeah, it's going to be
I'll ask Sark about that after the game.
I will make sure to
Thank
do
you.
100%. I will make sure to do that. Apparently Corso is in a tux, so that's fun. State Ohio says they need to take out those temporary seats and put in permanent seats. I'm assuming you're talking about the seat backs. I'm assuming. I don't know because there's not really temporary seats other than the ones in South Stands where the band sits or band sat previously. Those are the only ones that are kind of temporary, but those are going away after this year because that's going to be luxury seating for the 2026 season. So the only other temporary seats are the seat backs, and that's just they can sell you a seat back, and you have to pay however much it is per season, and so that's the reason for that because then you have the padded seats and all that stuff. So,
And I'm sure you know this as well. Carmen, Ohio will be in front of the band again. So it'll be north side.
North side, yes, yeah, and we can, I guess, run through some of those changes that we're expecting. Well, we've been told to expect for today, because this is stuff that I'm going to guess most of the people who are interested enough to be watching us on a Saturday morning probably know most of this stuff. But I think there are going to be, as we said earlier, a lot of people in the stadium who don't know this stuff. The band no longer in the South Stands; they are up in the North Stands now. They have, there's all sorts of reasons that this is why we're doing this. I think the overall reason is because those seats are going away next year because they're replacing them with, sort of the expensive luxury seats that you have seen at Jerry World and other stadiums like that. The Victory Bell, you're going to be hearing the Victory Bell earlier than expected today.
Yeah. Pre-game Victory Bell, and they're going to have a celebrity bell ringer every game. They would like the first bell ringer will be Archie Griffin, of course, the only two-time Heisman Trophy winner. And you're also going to have a unique entrance every week from Brutus. And again, I think some of these ideas came from the trip to Oregon last year.
You think so?
The way the duck comes in on the motorcycle, the sing-along song, the guitar stomp clap song that Oregon has that Ohio State has now adopted. We'll see how that goes. Song Ohio by the band Camp from Upper Arlington. That's not the entire name of the band. The band is just Camp.
But there are two A's in Camp. The second A stands for Arlington.
I don't know that that's true. And then, of course, the fans can be given Buckeye leaves for being loud. All of the students are going to be in the South Stands. Pretty much everything in the South Stands is going to be students, at least during school. School's in session now, right?
Yeah. Yes. 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 Yes.
So-
yes.
Yeah. Are you sure? Is that a yes?
Well, I'm thinking through. There are current Ohio State students, so I know who I was sort of thinking through. Did I hear that they were in class this week? The answer is yes.
Of course, first 100,000 people or so, 90,000 people are getting red towels, the towel, and it says the on them, and you're encouraged to wave them around and be part of the atmosphere. And again, a lot of these things are done just to combat Big Noon Kickoff. That's not what Ross Bjork says, but that's kind of the feeling that you get to get people engaged. So all of these are just attempts to get people to be loud. And a lot of the people that have complained about it's always dead at Ohio State are some of the same people that are complaining about, I'm not going to sing a song. I'm not going to wave a
Right.
It's like, well, why not? Then you want be part of the atmosphere that you want, I guess. And I'm not saying get off my lawn or get on my lawn, whatever. Just be part of the atmosphere you'd like to see.
Well, I think you get to a certain point where they have to do something about the game day atmosphere. No, not like that. Well, okay, you have a specific, and as you said, a lot of this stuff is very clearly taken from, well, Oregon had a great atmosphere last year. What did Oregon do? All right, we'll try some of that.
Yeah.
And this is not exactly the first time anyone has stolen an idea from someone else. I'm sure this is one of these, like, I can feel the Michigan fans going, Ohio State's stealing our culture. Children, let me tell you about the incredible overlap between the Yost Ice Arena crowd participation and what happened at Cornell when Michigan was visiting there in the 1980s or so. Like, gimmick infringement is not a new thing in college football or college athletics in general. Sue wants to know, did we sell out today? Yeah, that is this has been sold out for quite a while. When Stars Alliance is wondering how many Texas fans will be in attendance, Wheels and Lovers says expecting 10,000 Texas fans maybe. I mean, it is.
Let's say 5 to 10 is.
Yeah, I would say it's a normal amount of fans. I mean, the conversation around the Tennessee thing last year was stupid to an incredible degree, where it was, it's going to be 60% Texas. No, it's not. No one is saying it's DKR North this week, which is good. That's
That's the first time I've heard that.
Yeah, the conversation is already more intelligent this time than it was in December. There were 30,000 or whatever it was Tennessee fans, which is a lot, but also it wasn't. It was going to be 50-50. It was going to be, wasn't anywhere close to that. Texas fans, I've seen a bunch of Texas fans around the last couple of days, but you would see you see visiting fans around because they're in town and they don't have to go to their jobs on Friday because they're in town visiting from another place.
So, you're here and you go experience the things.
Right, yeah. Walking around on Friday, I saw a ton of Texas fans around the game day set because they're here in town and they're here for this. So, yeah. But at game day this morning, it was most to all Ohio State fans, and there were some Texas fans. So, yeah, 5 to 10,000 is probably a good guess. I would, bet on Ohio State probably having a similar number down in Austin. So, Tyler says he hopes this game Brutus comes in a wagon like Oklahoma on the Sooner Schooner. That would be pretty funny.
Should you troll? Should each entrance be a troll job of the opponent?
I mean,
should it be mocking other Big Ten programs as well? Like,
see, I'm all in favor of that. I'm always in favor of just a little, not malicious, not we can steer clear of slurs and stuff, but you can have a little fun. You can play jump around when you beat Wisconsin. That's okay. That's not a bad thing. Mika says, please check out my new show that dropped Thursday night and every Thursday night on the Ohio State podcast, on the Ohio podcast. Like, share, and comment. I try to respond to all. I had one starred from earlier that I hadn't gotten to yet. Andre says, Mika absolutely enjoyed watching your show Thursday night with PG, the Buckeye Ladies show. Rock. So there you go. Mika, long time friend of the show. So appreciate you being here and do check out her show. Elsu Zabos, another longtime friend of the show. I know we won't do it, but I wish Dave would let Julian uncork a 50-yard bomb on the first play. This is one of these great summertime message board questions. What's the first play call for Ohio State? Tony? Is Jeremiah down there somewhere going to be the first play call for Ohio State?
Is there no safety help over top? If they don't put a safety over top, why not? Like, just give it a go, see how it goes. Because that was one of the things that Will Howard talked about. Is, if there is no safety, then one of the answers is just throw it up to Jeremiah, and especially if there's any kind of press, then it's like, wow, this is already done. I'm not expecting that. We'll see some bracketing, and so in terms of the first play call, I think the easy answer is always a run, but I feel like they're going to want to throw it a little bit, just and not a deep shot or anything like that. It's a little 7-yard curl to somebody.
That's exactly what I was going to say. 7-yard curl to Max Clare. That might not be the first read, but give me that as one of the reads on that play where first time starter at quarterback, you want to get him just sort of into the feel of the game, into the rhythm of the game. Just sort of get the nerves out a little bit, get that first throw under his belt, and then be ready to move on. You said on one of our shows earlier this week, not like a running back in the flat where it's going to get tackled for a 2-yard loss and then you're 2nd and 12. Like, a little down the field, but not Alex Orji down the field, not Rex Grossman down the field. Jonas says probably a bubble screen to Carnell, but can't say no to that. Wills and Lovers says if you guys had let Bevo in the shoe, Brutus would have been welcome to ride him if we signed a release first. That would have been, sign me up for that. That's now I don't know if Bebo and artificial turf get along real well. I think
Right.
I don't know how much Bebo travels either. I know Bebo was at the Cotton Bowl last year, but was in like a pen, not actually on the field.
You know what's funny about Bebo is he's a lot like B.A. Baracus from the 18. When they do want to fly him, they have to hit him over the head with a 2x4 to knock him out, or else he won't do it. Like he's not a flyer, but if he sleeps through it, he can handle it.
Yeah. Lance says with Max Player being pretty athletic, you can expect some screen packages for him. I do think they're going to find a way to try and take advantage of him and what he could bring in that passing.
Well, remember what playoff game was it? The Oregon game where they faked a screen and then threw it to G. Scott down the sideline. Where
that was a Rose Bowl, yeah.
You just immediately start attacking and you get Texas defense going one way and then hit them another. But it is, you do now have a tight end that can involve himself in a tight end screen game. And I think we're going to see quite a bit of 12 personnel from Ohio State in this one.
Yeah,
because Max Player can be a tight end or he can be your slot receiver. And if Texas is playing nickel, which they generally would, then that also gives you the opportunity to run the ball with a bigger lineup than the Texas defense.
James people to the left is the first play. We're still Ohio State. With Sayin being fresh out.
Now, short side.
You already know, son. When Starkline wants to know if we know the theme for the band's halftime.
I believe it was gospel.
The theme for the band's show is a gospel celebration.
That's new.
Will be,
as far as I
that
can
is
tell.
new, yes. Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, sold out. So ULED. Oh, Happy Day. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. I've got a feeling, and ain't no mountain high enough. There's musical selections today from the Ohio State Marching Band. So there you go. Pregame, we'll run through this too. Ramp entrance, Buckeye Battle Cry, Star Spangled Banner. They play Texas Fight, the visiting team fight song as they always do. Want to go back to Ohio State, and then Script Ohio. You know the tune for that one. So there you go. So there's your band update for today. This band is not here, right? I don't think, or are they? I don't think they are, which is crazy.
But they travel every year, I assume, to the Red River.
Right. Yeah.
So that you can only travel so much.
Right. Yeah. That Texas famously for
Yes, correct.
university and athletic department. Yeah, but that's too bad. I am looking forward to next week. Rambling's band's supposed to be here. That will be a great contrast of the traditional John Philip Sousa style, all brass military style versus the HBCU band. That's going to be really fun. Sue wants to know if you missed the availability report. That comes out at 10, which I'm going to guess we will probably not still be on at that point. We have not heard any indication right now that there is anything major coming out on either teams. The biggest question that has sort of been floated is Trevor Gooseby, the left tackle for Texas. We know he's not 100%. He's got a cast or a club or something on one hand. He has been, there was some conversation that he was maybe going to be a game time decision. I don't remember whether that was a Pete Thamel or someone else put that out there. That sounds like that's probably on either team kind of the biggest game day question.
Yeah, and I think one of Texas's depth receivers will be out.
Yeah.
But again, nothing major outside of what Tom just said.
Yeah. And When Stars Line says, thank you. I'm a total band mom nerd. Sorry, my son didn't try out. Yeah, it is. The band is such a big thing. It's such a big part of the game day experience here. That's one thing when they were redesigning game day and people are getting all up in arms about stuff. They're not getting rid of the band by any means. Like that, it sounds like that might be a bigger piece of the game day experience, which that's a positive. That is a good thing. That's just, I was talking about this I think it was on our board yesterday with someone. The ramp entrance that they do, it's not the most complicated thing in the world, but it's also, when I was a student here 30 years ago, same thing. It's the same drum cadence. It's the same music. It's the same song. If they do it the same way, you get that, it tickles that spot in the back of your brain. And 30 years ago, it was the same way they'd done it 30 years before that.
Yeah, and 20 years ago when I was here.
Not a math major, Tony.
They're also amplifying the band,
Yes.
so
yeah.
they've got mics there. May not be playing Hang On Sloopy at the end of the third quarter because they have the freedom to play it anytime.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to see more of the band, which is one of the complaints over the last 10 years is how they've been minimized. And I think they're trying to maximize them while Tom also worrying about their corporate sponsors, corporate partners.
Corporate champions, Tony? Corporate champions? Yeah. Doug S. wants to know, can the Buckeyes finish better than fourth place this year? They actually were first last year. That reminds me, actually, I was going to take going to give you a quick look outside the window behind us. I'm hoping that the lighting is such you can actually see. There is, on the facing of C deck down there, you can see the row of national champions signs, 1942, 1954, 1957, 1961, 1968, 1970, 2002, 2014. And then there's some kind of a banner over something down there. I'm not sure what that is. Maybe we'll find out later on today. There's a look out at from the press box. The sun is not tremendous. You get some weird glare on stuff up here. So not a great view, but wanted to give you guys a quick look from where we are up here. So, all right. Let me get back to the.
I was going to say finish.
Finish what? The show?
Season.
Oh, finish the season. Yeah. That's turns out they were finished in first place last year. We got apparently there's drama on the Fox set involving a shouting match between one of the people on the staff and of the Fox staff. You'll never guess who, and the Ohio State fans. Urban Meyer apparently got them to shout down. Yes, so that's great. We love having intelligent content on our televisions. Scrolling through the comments here, you guys are. We just finally figured out how to send a super chat. We appreciate it. We appreciate you super chatting or not. But,
got a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah. So, and Wingman Ted says, can you show the new seating in South Stands if you get a chance? There is no new seating in South Stands. It's the same. It's set up exactly as it was last year. The changes, those are going to be for next year with the new suites and stuff. All they did is they moved the band from the South Stands to the north side of the stadium, and the South Stands is just all student seats right now. But it looks identical to how it looked last year down there right now. So nothing new there.
Those are not seats you want to be sitting in anyway.
No, you're gonna be if you're down that low, you've got cheerleaders in front of you. You've got pregame. You have 100,000 recruits and their families in front of you. People are perpetually yelling at us, the photographers, to get down and be, down in front. But you have cheerleaders and dance team and all that sort of stuff. That low angle is not a great. It's not a great angle to see the game from and be able to make a real informed decision. Charles wants to know: would you rather kick or receive on the opening kickoff?
Got to kick. Got to get that second quarter, the second half ball. You got to get. Can't give up back-to-back possessions from the end of the second quarter to the start of the third quarter. So you have to kick.
Yep. So the got the middleweight conversation being out. Warpog wants to know: will the Buckeyes score more points on the ground or in the air?
I'll go air, and not confidently.
Yeah, no, I don't have a real.
Does that include field goals?
Yeah, right. The field goals are traveling through the air, so yeah, I'm gonna say if we're counting that, I'll say that. But it's gonna be. I'm expecting a low scoring game, and not 30 points total or anything like that. But I'm expecting no one getting out of the 20s. I would be not surprised, not shocked if someone got in the 30s, but a little surprised if it got, if this was 31-28 at the end of the game, I'd go, wow, that was more points than I was expecting.
Yeah, for sure, same.
All right, so we're at 9:24 a.m. right now, so this is probably a halfway decent time for us to at least start wrapping things up. We can do some score predictions. I will go first, so that then you can put on the mascot head at the end. I said my strongest opinion on this game is that it's going to be relatively low score, that it's going to be pretty close, that the two coaches are going to be not overly conservative, but not hyper aggressive either. My strongest opinion is the final score is going to be exactly 24-20, and whichever team kicks the 2 field goals will lose. That's my strongest opinion on this game in terms of the outcome. This is, I tend to look at things in terms of probabilities, and it's like, is there a way that Ohio State wins the battle with, Texas's offensive tackles not being able to hold up in pass pro, and that throws off the Texas passing attack, and Texas wide receivers aren't quite as good as Ohio State's, but their quarterback's probably a little better than Ohio State's. So much of this feels like it's going to come down to who wins between the defensive end and the tackles, like on both sides of the ball. I went with Texas 24, Ohio State 20. If it was Ohio State 24, Texas 20, I would not be remotely surprised. This is about as 51-49 as in terms of level of confidence that as I am on any of these picks. These picks, it's okay, it's fine. Like this is going to be one of these games where this is going to be close enough, I think, that in December this is not a loss that's going to get held against whoever loses the game. If you lose this game 45-3, yeah, like by all means, you're allowed to hold this against the team. If this game's 24-20, whether it's Ohio State winning or Texas winning, this is a game that, for the good of college football, you should be able to say, hey, these are 2 really good teams. These are 2 teams that are unquestionably going to both improve leaps and bounds between now and even late October, let alone December. This is a game where, if it's close, I think the team that wins is going to get a decent amount of credit. The team that loses is going to go, hey, well, it was close. They played close with the first team, number 1 team in the country. A lot like the conversation went with Ohio State and Oregon last year. You went on the road, played at the number 1 team. You lost by 1 point. Like, exactly how much are you supposed to hold this against them?
Now, that's a lot of words for say Ohio State's going to lose. You didn't need to go on and on and on. I'm going 24-21 Ohio State for a couple of reasons. I'm a big believer in home field. I think if this is Arch versus Caleb Downs, I like Caleb Downs in that matchup. I'm not 100% sold on my pick. This is the first game. We know what we know, and we'll admit to you, I'd like to know a lot more.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to know a lot more after the game because we think guys are going to be good. We don't know if guys are going to be good. And yet, there's still a lot of talent that can swing this game either way. So I went 24-21. I do think the Ohio State fans are going to bring it, but they've got to do it all game long. And that's every single quarter is going to be huge, and they need to be just as huge.
We have a couple other score predictions here in the comments that we'll get to.
I will also say there's in their staff picks, there are 3 or 4 of us picked 24-21, including Grok.
Oh, wow. There you go. Artificial intelligence, more emphasis on artificial, more on some cases. I'm interested. Wheels and Levers is in there. Just says, good luck to OSU, and hope it's a great game without injuries. I am very interested in your score pick on this one because I'm always interested in intelligent fans on the other side of the game, what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what you think going into the game. So throw that in the comments if you can. Robert Howard says $21. Absolutely realistic. I have no quarrel with that at all. Mika Hanna says, thanks for everything, guys. Love you all. Go Bucks. Appreciate that, Mika.
But 27-21 would indicate you're moving the ball pretty well, but again, are you bogging down in the red zone? But as long as you're moving the ball that well and your defense is playing well, it'll get the job done.
Yeah. Wingman Ted says OSU 42, Texas 24. I think it's not close and higher scoring. I would be, 66 total points. One of the teams in the 40s. I would say I'd be shocked if one of the teams, unless this is like they got a punt return and also got a score on defense or something. An offense scoring 40 points would be pretty surprising, I think.
Yeah, same, because you're only going to have, say, 9 or 10 possessions maybe in this game, and you're going to score touchdowns on 6 of them. You're going to need some defensive help, whether that's field position or scoring themselves.
Jerry Vance says Buckeyes 28-24. Wingman Ted says 24-21, the Vegas line. Tony is bold once again. I think I have a little sarcasm there.
Now, I will say the line was down to 1.5.
Yes.
yesterday.
Yeah.
So hey,
And there was one book where apparently it swung to Texas being favored by
and apparently that was because of like a $400,000
one
bet or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Warpog says Buckeyes 28-17.
By the way, Tom, the last time Ohio State was an underdog at home was
Last time was it? Has it happened since the 2018 Michigan game?
it has not.
Okay, so then I'm going to say, Tony, that it was the 2018 Michigan
And
game.
what was the final score of that game?
62-39.
Right.
If you'd like to give me 101 points of the over/under today, I will confidently take the under.
The time before that, the last time before that Ohio State was an underdog at home.
Was it 2016 Michigan? No.
2011 Wisconsin.
Oh yeah, and they won that one as well. Yeah, that was the Braxton Miller kind of Hail Mary game.
This century, Ohio State has been an underdog at home 6 times.
Wow.
They're 3-3.
He gets the 35-21 Bucks. Bucks win, pull away late. Wheels and Levers, thank you for jumping in. Many Texas fans are picking 24-20. Yeah, I mean that's a I picked Texas 27-24. Not really sure what to expect. Hope Arch is hot. Yeah, I think if this is a game that this is a 3-point game, a 4-point game, sign me up. Like I would love a great 60-minute, 2 great teams, and then we maybe get to see them play again later in the season. Like the trip to Oregon last year was like, I know Ohio State fans were big mad after that game. That was a phenomenal trip. It was a great trip, a great atmosphere, a great game, and then you saw the teams play again later in the year. Nice. If you get all of that stuff together, sign me up. Like whoever has the more points, I would absolutely love it. We do have a now Lisa said we were home underdog today. No, there was one book where that line had moved, but broadly, no. This is going to go in as a this is going to go down as a, unless the line really moved in the last couple hours, it's going to go in. It's Ohio State favored by about 1.5. Mike says it flipped on DraftKings as well. So Stage Ohio the 77-3 Ohio State, probably not there. For the rest of the Stu says you might love a 4-point game, Tom. Some of us had bad tickers, so yes. Stu, it's going to be okay. Win or lose, it's going to be okay. This is not a game that's going to define or destroy anyone's season, which is a good thing. That's good. You can sit back, you can enjoy the game. They will have a 3-and-out at some point. They will give up a touchdown at some point, probably. It's going to be okay. I think this is one of these. Let's enjoy the fact that college football is back, that it is a gorgeous, gorgeous football day here in Columbus, and the fact that this is not Akron. This is not Kent State.
Right.
This is going to be a phenomenal game between 2 really good teams, and we might get a chance to see, again, these 2 teams play later in the year. So if we do, sign me up for what we just talked about for today. Sign me up for seeing these teams again in the season. So that will do it for us right now. We make sure if you have not hit the thumbs up, you do that. Make sure if you are not subscribed to our YouTube channel, you haven't hit the bell, make sure you do that. We will have our live post-game coverage from here at Ohio Stadium right after the game as well. Live interviews with Brian Day, please some sound bites from Sark and all that kind of stuff. Should be a phenomenal day. Make sure you also check us out at BuckeyeHuddle.com. We have our whole team of insiders there covering the Buckeyes, covering recruiting, covering X's and O's. There's going to be a lot to talk about on all 3 of those fronts after this one. So join us there. Just $4.99 for your first month. Get you access for your first 30 days. Going to be a lot to talk about after this one. We'd love to talk about it with you all at BuckeyeHuddle.com. That will do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.